Hey guys, Weeby Newz here, and today I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Where is the Danganronpa 2x2 release date? It's been 7 long months since the Nintendo Direct announcement. Every time I stream 100 Line, it's kind of become tradition at this point to be like, hey guys, how about that 2x2 release date? When do you guys think it's going to release? Do you think it's going to release? It's gone from like, where's the release date to, is this game even real or was this just like a social experiment by Spike Chunsoft to try and perform like a real life execution on all Danganronpa fans? Which, to be fair, we deserve it, but still, it's rough out here. But yeah, like I said, it's been 7 months and we have gotten nothing but crumbs in the form of Psychotropical Vacation Package and a demo version that was only playable for 1 day in Japan and playable to that one person who works at Anime News Network for some reason. But yeah, there's been very little updates, so I just wanted to make this video to kind of meme about it and give my own opinion on why I think it's taking so long. The last time we got any significant information about 2x2 was during the Danganronpa 15th anniversary event back in November of 2025. And honestly, rewatching that event, it really does become obvious what the issue is. And that is that Danganronpa 2x2 was announced way too early. The first hint during the anniversary event is when Sakakibara, the producer of 2x2, discusses the beginnings of the project. He reveals that he and Kodaka, the creator of Danganronpa, came up with the idea of 2x2 after Raincode finished development, and that after many twists and turns, they decided to make 2 and 2 coincide with the Danganronpa 15th anniversary. It's implied that they discussed many other ways to continue the franchise, like making a sequel, remaking Trigger Happy Havoc, or spin-offs, but this is what they ultimately decided to land on. And although Raincode released a while back in 2023, it's not really specified when 2x2 was finally decided upon. They do mention that there were lots of twists and turns to this discussion, so I can imagine that it must have taken months to finally decide on making 2x2. Then at that point, they decided to make it coincide with the Danganronpa 15th anniversary. I'm sure they would only plan for this to happen if they were pretty confident that they could release the game around that time, but I think what happened is that the game became much bigger than they anticipated. Sakakibara mentions during the event that the new scenario is significantly longer than the original, and I'm sure this was not anticipated at all when they were first planning the timeline of this game's release, especially considering the original Danganronpa 2 is already pretty lengthy itself, averaging about 39 hours on howlongtobeat.com, and this idea is confirmed during that same event with Sakakibara stating that the length of the game has made the budget and schedule extremely difficult to manage. As a fan, this was super exciting to hear, because to me it sounds like originally they wanted to make the new scenario probably about the length of the original, but once they started, they had a bunch of ideas and realized there was so much more they could do with it than they originally anticipated, which led to the game becoming significantly longer. It really does make this new entry feel like more of a work of passion rather than just a cash grab. If the only reason they chose to make a new scenario for Danganronpa 2 is because it's the most popular game in the franchise and they just wanted to sell a lot of copies, then I doubt they would be putting themselves through all of this schedule and budget stress in order to make the game so big. It really does feel like the game has become big because they have a lot to say and a lot of ideas that they want to execute in it. But of course, on the opposite end, the fact that this game has become a bit of a monster in size has to be super stressful for the team, and it has got to have made it very difficult to predict when the game will finally be able to release. And looking back at the 15th anniversary event, it really did seem like there was not that much that had been completed. It really does kind of feel like they just rushed to make the demo in order to have something regarding it during the 15th anniversary event, especially since it seems like they wanted to originally release the game during the 15th anniversary. Because when you look at the demo, it's only 15 minutes long, which is very short for a Danganronpa demo. Danganronpa V3's demo, by comparison, was an hour and 44 minutes. So the Danganronpa 2x2 demo is less than 15% of the size of that one. There's also only 8 characters in the 2x2 demo as well, which kind of does imply that they didn't have enough sprites made for the other characters to include them in the demo. And there's also the fact that there seems to be no plans to release the demo to the general public. Anime News Network literally wrote an article stating that it'll never get released to the public. So it really does seem like it was just a demo that was made specifically for that event and that they felt wasn't polished enough to release worldwide. I honestly think they probably did have to rush a good bit in order to get that demo at the event. It was also mentioned by Sakakibara during the anniversary event that the only voice acting that had been recorded so far was for promotional material and the demo. Koshimizu, the voice actress of Ibuki, mentioned at the time that she hadn't recorded anything for 2x2. And although voice acting is generally one of the last things that gets added to a video game, the fact that she hadn't recorded anything does also sort of imply that they were not very far along in development. Then finally, just looking back at the trailer for 2x2, the writing was on the wall regarding their progress. Back when it was first released, I was able to pin down almost every single shot to a corresponding moment in the original Danganronpa 2, with the exception of about 2, I believe. At the time, I had my tinfoil cap on, and I thought, maybe they were hiding a brand new Danganronpa with a new cast. And like the new scenario is just a red herring. But in reality, I think they just didn't have enough of the new scenario to show much of it in the trailer. I think the hype of the announcement had us all huffing hopium pretty hard, thinking that this would release in the summer of 2026, but in reality, I think it might be closer to the end of the year. Another thing I want to mention is placeholder dates. I've seen a lot of people posting this saying that Amazon or GameStop has the release date announced for 2x2, and this is not the case. These are just placeholder dates that stores for games put when there's no official date. Honestly, seeing people get excited by these really made me feel old. I remember my first placeholder date when I thought Kingdom Hearts 3 was releasing on December 31st, 2014. And me and my best friend would excitedly text each other about it and ignore anyone who told us it was just a placeholder. Good times. It took 5 more years. But yeah, that's overall my opinion. I just wanted to make a video discussing it since I feel like everyone is talking about their frustration with the lack of a release date, but I haven't seen many people talking about why that might be happening. Overall, as much as I want a release date, I really don't want them to rush. If they need to push it to 2027, honestly, that's completely fine with me as long as the game is good. I think we can all agree that we'd rather wait a little bit longer and play a great Danganronpa game rather than it come out quickly and not be good. I'm still really excited for this game too. When I interviewed Kodaka and Koizumi back in December, small flex. One thing that really stood out to me was that Kodaka said that 2x2 had turned into a genuinely fun Danganronpa game, and that it may get criticized in some places for being too Danganronpa, which to me really sounds like a game that can stand on its own 2 feet when compared to the others in the franchise. And the fact that it might get criticized in some places for being too Danganronpa really sounds like to me that this game is going to be crazy, just as crazy as the last 3 mainline games, if not crazier, and that makes me so excited. He also mentioned that he's working very closely with Koizumi while writing 2x2, and it seems like he really trusted Koizumi in taking on this task, which was really good to see. But yeah, this is overall my opinion on the situation. I think the last time I made a video, I felt pretty strongly that it would get released in summer of 2026. But yeah, I don't really think so anymore. I think it's a lot more likely that, it'll be fall or even winter of 2026. Looking back at this interview from the 15th anniversary, I just really hope they don't push themselves too hard, Seeing Sakakibara saying that it's been extremely difficult to manage the schedule and the budget of the game, it just made me kind of sad. I hope that they're not pushing themselves too hard, and I hope they know that us as fans would much rather them take their time and stay healthy and make the game as good as possible. And if we have to wait a little bit longer for that, then that's totally fine. But yeah, that'll conclude the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think about 2x2, if you agree with kind of my new estimation of maybe fall or winter of 2026, or if you're like, hell no, I'm still smoking that hopium, Weeby, it's gonna be the summer. And hey, you know what, if you're right, that'll be great. But yeah, overall, I just hope they're not pushing themselves too hard to get this out. Also, if you want to see some more videos regarding Danganronpa 2x2 and 100 Line Last Defense Academy, you can watch my interview with Kodaka and Koizumi that I did back in December. We talk mostly about 100 Line, but we do talk about 2x2 and Danganronpa in general. It's a super fun watch if you want to check that out. And it was also the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. So I feel like I need to plug it whenever I get the chance. But yeah, thanks guys so much for watching. Please do be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you do enjoy my videos. That kind of stuff just help out a bunch, and yeah, I will see you guys real soon.